Okay, today we're going to talk about amortization. This is a key thing when it comes to understanding how mortgages work, how loans work in general, and what it means for you when you buy properties. So amortization is a word that gets thrown around a lot by bankers, and when you're strategizing on what you're going to be refinancing and using or establishing on your primary residence as well. So this is going to be a quick video just to explain how it works and try to get it so that you don't feel so overwhelmed by it. As you're thinking about amortization, there's a couple of different factors that come into it. So you essentially have the length of time that you're going to have the note for. So this is what we refer to as the term. This is essentially the number of years that you're going to have that you're going to be paying that loan back for. You also have your total amount of your borrowed amount, and then that's going to kind of boil into a consistent payment amount on a monthly rate. So we're going to put payment here. When it comes to thinking about amortization, you sign up for a mortgage, and let's just say for the mortgage that you have, so that your payment's $1,000 a month. It's $1,000 a month over the course of the term that you're committing to. So let's just say it's 30 years as an example. You'll pay $1,000 a month for 360 months. That's 30 years. So when you're doing that, you're making a payment the same. There's a payment that's being made every time it's $1,000. What that $1,000 is going towards every month is not the same on any given payment. Every payment is going towards a little bit different. There's two things that it's going to go towards. The first thing is going to be principal, and the second thing is going to be interest. Principal is a term that's used to refer to the actual money that's been lent being returned. So if you borrow $200,000 on a property, when you're making a payment back on that property, the amount that's going towards principal is actually amounts of money that is going back to the lender to cover that amount that was borrowed. And there's also interest. Interest is what's charged on the mortgage to make money for the bank. That's why they do it. It's a way for them to get more money back from you than what they lent out. That's how they run their business. That is interest. That's money that's being paid as a fee to borrow their money. So every month, a certain percentage of that money, of that $1,000 for this example, is going towards principal, and then a certain amount is going towards interest. When that happens is where the amortization key comes into place. So if you put a line like this is kind of a way of thinking about it. This red area right here is going to be the space where your interest is being paid, and the blue is going to be the space or representation of how much of each payment is going towards your principal. Now, it's advantageous for banks to do structure this way because what they'll do, if you think about each one of these spaces along here as your term, every time you make a payment is a slice of this pie as you go across. So your first payments are going to be extremely heavily geared towards paying interest. All this space here isn't of the $1,000, it might be $950 of your $1,000 is going to go towards interest, and $50 of it might go towards your principal. So the bank is saying, we're going to lend you money and you're going to pay us back over the course of 30 years, but as you're paying it, we're only going to collect the interest mostly on the front side of it, and then as we get further along, we're going to then collect and allocate the money that you're paying towards the principal. Why do they do this? Because they want to collect their earnings on the property earlier. If you can just see the pie of this, like they're front heavy on the amount of money they're collecting for their interest. There's a breaking point, typically around the middle of the loan, where it kind of goes even, where you're 50-50 going towards interest and towards principal. And then on the tail end of the loan, they're kind of finishing up their interest that they've accrued, or they're accruing as you are paying them back, and then you're really paying down the interest, or the principal. So this is essentially how amortization works. So what I always try to remind people, and this is kind of discouraging if you've recently bought a home or you only lived in your home for 3 to 5 years, or a rental property for that matter, you just need to remember that this first point in time here in your amortization schedule, you're not making a whole lot of productivity on paying down your mortgage. So don't be discouraged when you go to look at a property after you're going to sell it, or you're refinancing or whatever you're going to do, and realizing like, gosh, we've paid $1,000 a month for 3 years. That's $36,000 that we paid on this property, but we've only made this little bit of progress in the debt pay down. That's because the interest is a huge part of it. This is what amortization is all about. It's important to think about it. understand kind of how that plays a factor into your pay down on your property and ultimately understanding where your money's going. This is amortization. It's a way that you can understand how payments are going back to a bank, and thanks for joining us here at Mud Marble Digital. Happy to help, and we want to make real estate as approachable as possible.